You're listening to The Observing Eye. Pirate radio for the mind. Coming at you fresh from the computer hell cabin.
Hello, you beautiful lot. It's Friday, the 11th of July, 2024, and you're listening to episode 73, I believe, of The Observing Eye, coming at you live from the computer hell cabin. Every week we get psychological, philosophical, and all manner of introspective. I'm David, and this week we are looking at Abraham Maslow and the theory of human motivation. Imagine a world where psychology isn't just about diagnosing disorders or analysing the mind's dark recesses. Instead, it's a field dedicated to understanding the heights of human potential, the joys of creativity, the warmth of human connection, and the pursuit of personal growth. This is the world Abraham Maslow envisioned and helped to create. But who was Maslow, and how did he come to develop his revolutionary ideas? In 1943, Maslow published A Theory of Human Motivation in Psychological Review, introducing his now famous hierarchy of needs. This model posits that human needs are arranged in a hierarchical order, starting with basic physiological needs and moving up through safety, love and belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization. According to Maslow, lower-level needs must be satisfied before individuals can attend to higher-level psychological needs. This theory was revolutionary, emphasizing personal growth and fulfillment over merely addressing psychological disorders. So join me today as we explore the fascinating life and the revolutionary ideas of Abraham Maslow. Whether you're a student of psychology, a professional in the field, or simply someone interested in understanding what drives us as human beings, there is something here for you. Let's dive into the world of human motivation and discover how Maslow's work continues to inspire us to reach for our highest potential. And I'm going to give you a warning. This episode is a long one, so get comfortable. I went hard on Maslow. There's a lot here to talk about, so get yourself settled. This is going to be a ride. Let's start then by looking at the life of Abraham Maslow, who he was and what influenced his thinking to create the theory of human motivation. Abraham Harold Maslow, born on April 1st, 1908 in Brooklyn, New York, emerged as a pivotal figure in psychology, particularly renowned for his formulation of the hierarchy of needs and the concept of self-actualization. His life and work were deeply influenced by his early experiences, intellectual pursuits, and the socio-cultural context of his time. Maslow was the eldest of 7 children in a family of Russian Jewish immigrants. His parents, Samuel and Rose Maslow, emphasized the importance of education and hard work, which shaped young Abraham's early years. Despite the financial struggles and the anti-Semitic environment of the early 20th century America, Maslow excelled academically, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a profound desire to understand human nature and behavior. After graduating from Boys High School in Brooklyn, Maslow attended the City College of New York. Initially, he studied law to meet his parents' expectations, but soon found his passion lay elsewhere. He transferred to Cornell University briefly, but eventually returned to City College, New York, where he completed his undergraduate studies. In 1928, he married Bertha Goodman, his first cousin, a decision that brought some familial disapproval, but proved to be a lifelong partnership of mutual support and intellectual collaboration. Nothing like marrying your cousin. Maslow pursued his graduate studies at the University of Wisconsin, where he earned his master's degree in psychology in 1931 and his PhD in 1934. Under the mentorship of Harry Harlow, famous for his research on maternal attachment in rhesus monkeys, Maslow's work began to take shape. Harlow's influence is evident in Maslow's interest in primate behavior, which later translated into his humanistic psychology. Yes, Maslow studied monkeys to understand people. During the early stages of his career, Maslow worked at Brooklyn College, where he was exposed to the intellectual ferment of New York City. This period was marked by interactions with notable figures such as Alfred Adler, Erich Fromm, and Karen Horney. These relationships enriched his understanding of psychoanalysis and existential psychology, steering him towards a more holistic view of human motivation and potential. Maslow's disillusionment with the dominant schools of thought in psychology, particularly behaviorism and psychoanalysis, led him to explore alternate approaches. Behaviorism's focus on observable behavior and psychoanalysis's emphasis on unconscious drives seemed to him insufficient for explaining the full range of human experience. He believed that psychology should also address the positive aspects of human nature, such as creativity, love, and the quest for meaning. In 1943, Maslow published A Theory of Human Motivation in Psychological Review, where he introduced his hierarchy of needs. This model posited that human needs are arranged in a hierarchical order, starting with basic physiological needs and moving up to safety, love and belonging, esteem, and finally, self-actualization. According to Maslow, lower-level needs must be satisfied before individuals can attend to higher-level psychological needs. This theory revolutionized psychology by emphasizing the importance of personal growth and fulfillment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs became the foundation of humanistic psychology, a movement that emerged in the 50s and 60s as a third force in psychology. Humanistic psychology focused on individual potential and stressed the importance of growth and self-actualization. Maslow, along with Carl Rogers, became one of its leading figures. In his seminal work, Motivation and Personality, which was published in 1954, Maslow elaborated on his theories, further exploring the characteristics of self-actualizing individuals. He identified traits such as autonomy, creativity, a realistic perception of reality, and a strong sense of ethics. Maslow's research suggested that self-actualization is a continuous process of becoming, rather than a perfect state that one achieves. Maslow's later years were spent as a faculty member at Brandeis University, where he continued to refine his theories and expand his influence. During this period, he introduced the concept of peak experiences, moments of intense joy, creativity, and fulfillment that contribute to an individual's self-actualization. These experiences, Maslow argued, were vital for understanding the potential for human growth and the nature of a fulfilled life. In addition to his academic contributions, Maslow was deeply interested in the practical applications of his theories. He believed that understanding human motivation could improve education, business, and therapy. His ideas influenced a wide range of fields, including organizational behavior, where his hierarchy of needs provided a framework for understanding employee motivation and leadership. Despite his significant contributions, Maslow's work was not without criticism. Some psychologists argued that his hierarchy of needs was too simplistic and lacked empirical support. Others felt that his focus on self-actualization was overly individualistic and did not adequately address social and cultural factors. Nevertheless, his ideas have endured and continue to inspire research and application across various fields. Abraham Maslow passed away on June 8, 1970 in Menlo Park, California, due to a heart attack. His death marked the loss of a visionary thinker whose work had profoundly impacted psychology and beyond. His legacy lives on through the ongoing exploration of human potential and the quest for self-fulfillment that his theories so compellingly challenged. And now, a word from our sponsor. A few episodes ago, I mentioned that this podcast would never be sponsored because I felt that having a sponsor would impinge upon my freedom of expression and artistic and creative vision and all that kind of thing. And that has since changed, unfortunately. The podcast is now sponsored. I'm a terrible hypocrite, but the podcast is sponsored by me. So I feel that that's an acceptable sort of grey area in which to exist when it comes to contradicting oneself. Now, when I say I'm sponsoring this podcast, I am sponsoring it with my new book, which is called The Observing Eye, A Guide to Living a More Authentic Life. That's available on paperback and on the Kindle via Amazon, exclusively on Amazon, because there's a Kindle Unlimited deal that I have to adhere to for 3 months. But you can find it on there. You can go and search The Observing Eye on Amazon, and I will put the link in the show notes or description as well, so you can find it there a little bit easier. So the book essentially is a complement to the podcast, and the purpose of the book is to give you some philosophical and psychological tools and ideas to challenge your own perception, your own self-narrative. It's all about storytelling, about how storytelling and narrative shape who we are and our identity, and how we can change that narrative. So it's definitely got a narrative therapy vibe to it, put it that way. And it's out now. It's been out for a few weeks. And if you'd like to go and purchase a copy, that would be wonderful. And I'd really appreciate it. So that's my sponsor window. There we are. My book is out. You can buy it on Amazon. Links in the description, or you can just search The Observing Eye on Amazon as well. Thank you for your time, as always. Much love. And now back to the episode. Now, let's delve into one of the most significant contributions to psychology, and that was his hierarchy of needs. This theory, introduced in his 1943 paper, A Theory of Human Motivation, revolutionized the field and remains a cornerstone of humanistic psychology. So what exactly is the hierarchy of needs, and how did Maslow develop this groundbreaking model? To understand the hierarchy of needs, we must first appreciate Maslow's departure from the prevailing schools of thought at the time, which were behaviorism and psychoanalysis. Behaviorism, with its strict focus on observable behaviors, and psychoanalysis, with its deep dive into unconscious drives, both had their limitations. Maslow believed these approaches missed something crucial, which were the positive impacts of human nature, such as creativity, love, and the quest for self-fulfillment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is often depicted as a pyramid, with 5 levels representing different types of human needs. These needs range from the most basic physiological requirements to the higher level psychological aspirations of self-actualization. Let's break down each level in a bit more detail. The foundation of the pyramid consists of physiological needs. These are the basic requirements for human survival. Things like air, water, food, shelter, and sleep. Without these essentials, our bodies cannot function properly. Think of it as the starting point for everything else. If you're starving or dehydrated, it's nearly impossible to focus on anything beyond finding your next meal or drink. These needs are universal and must be met to ensure survival. Once physiological needs are met, the next level is safety needs. This includes both physical and emotional security. Physical safety encompasses protection from elements, violence, and health threats, while emotional safety involves stability and predictability in one's life. This could mean having a secure job, a safe living environment, and freedom from fear. For example, consider how difficult it is to focus on higher goals if you're constantly worried about losing your job or experiencing violence. Safety and security provide a foundation upon which more complex psychological needs can be built. Moving up the pyramid, we arrive at love and belongingness. Humans are inherently social creatures, and our relationships with others play a critical role in our psychological health. This level includes the need for friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection with others. It's about feeling accepted, loved, and part of a group. Think about the joy of spending time with loved ones, or the comfort of knowing you belong somewhere. Without these connections, individuals may experience loneliness, social anxiety, and depression. This level highlights the importance of social bonds in our overall well-being. The 4th level of Maslow's hierarchy is esteem needs. Esteem can be divided into 2 categories: self-esteem and esteem from others. Self-esteem involves feelings of self-respect, confidence, and personal worth. It's about believing in your own abilities and feeling good about who you are. Esteem from others, on the other hand, includes recognition, status, and appreciation from peers. This could mean receiving praise at work, earning respect in your community, or achieving recognition for your talents and accomplishments. When these needs are met, individuals feel valued and confident. However, when they are unmet, people may experience feelings of inferiority and helplessness. Finally, we reach the pinnacle of the hierarchy, the top of the pyramid, self-actualization. This is the process of realizing and fulfilling one's potential and capabilities. It's about becoming the best version of oneself. Self-actualization encompasses personal growth, self-discovery, and achieving meaningful goals. It's the artist painting their masterpiece, the scientist making groundbreaking discoveries, or the individual finding profound personal enlightenment. According to Maslow, self-actualization is unique to each person and represents the ultimate expression of personal potential. This level is less about what society thinks you should be and more about what you truly aspire to become. Maslow's hierarchy of needs isn't just a theoretical construct. It's a practical framework that helps us understand human motivation. The hierarchical structure reflects the complexity of human motivation and the interplay between different types of needs. Now let's consider some real-life examples. Think about this scenario of a young professional just starting their career. Initially, their focus might be on securing a stable income to cover basic living expenses. This aligns with the physiological and safety needs. As they become more financially secure, they might seek out friendships and romantic relationships, fulfilling their love and belongingness needs. With a supportive social network, they can then pursue career advancement and recognition, addressing their esteem needs. And then finally, with a solid foundation in place, they can explore personal passions and long-term goals, working towards self-actualization. It is no good trying to self-actualize, painting a wonderful portrait if you're eating dust and drinking your own piss. That isn't a good, I mean, I'm sure some artists do that, but you know what I mean. That is not going to give you your best work. That isn't self-actualizing. That's just denying reality to yourself. There is a difference between that. It is not, I am an artiste, I drink my own piss, I lick the dust sustains me. No, that is not it. That is not self-actualizing. That is you being an artiste, and that's different. So we do have to meet those needs before we can begin to look at the whole idea of self-actualizing. Now, I want to criticize the idea a little bit because I think it's important to give you a balance, because there has been criticism of Maslow's ideas. It has been widely influential, but some argue that the hierarchy is too rigid and simplistic, suggesting that human motivation is more complex and multifaceted than a linear progression of needs. And I'm going to touch on this a bit later on when I talk about my personal reflections of Maslow's hierarchy. Others point out that cultural and individual differences can influence how these needs are prioritized. Despite these criticisms, the hierarchy of needs remains a valuable tool for understanding the broad patterns of human motivation and providing a framework for further research and application. Maslow himself acknowledged that the hierarchy isn't a fixed sequence, but rather a general guideline. He recognized that individuals might move back and forth between different levels depending on their circumstances. So think about this. You don't, once you get to self-actualization, you don't constantly self-actualize because shit happens in life. And then you might get some esteem needs kick in, or you have a significant life change. You might lose your job. There might be like a personal loss or something that entirely changes the structure of your life, which means there are needs that need to be met below self-actualizing. And you have to go and meet those needs again. So don't think, I've got to self-actualizing, I'm the boss man. That's again, not how it works. And I think that's a bit of a misconception. I feel like that's where some of the misconception comes from, is the idea that, you know, people look at the pyramid, the triangle diagram, and they see these layers, and they think, well, once you've done one, then you move up to the next, and that's it. It's not at all how it works. As Maslow himself said, there is an interplay between those layers. There is a dynamic change in where you sit in that hierarchical structure. So let's summarize this section then. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs provides a comprehensive framework for understanding the different dimensions of human motivation. It emphasizes the importance of satisfying basic needs before pursuing higher level aspirations, and highlights the interconnectedness of various types of needs, whether in personal life, professional settings, or broader social contexts. This model offers us valuable insights into what drives us as human beings. In our previous segments, we delved into the early life of Abraham Maslow and explored the foundational elements of his hierarchy of needs. Now, let's shift our focus to the broader framework of humanistic psychology and the pinnacle of Maslow's hierarchy, self-actualization. This segment is crucial for understanding how Maslow's ideas fit into the larger context of psychological theory and their practical implications for personal growth and fulfillment. Humanistic psychology emerged in the mid-20th century. I think that's like the third time I've said that. And it offered an alternative to the dominant paradigms of behaviorism and psychoanalysis. So we know already behaviorism focused on observable behavior, psychoanalysis delves into the unconscious. So the humanistic psychology comes into the arena and it looks to explore the positive aspects of the human experience. And it's looking at an emphasis on individual potential. It's looking at personal growth and it's looking at self-actualization. So at its core, humanistic psychology views humans as inherently good, which you may agree with or not. And I think my thought on that changes over time. So it believes that humans are inherently good and capable of achieving their full potential. We've got to that point now. I'm slipping. Right, let's just start that bit again. At its core, human psychology, humanistic fuck's sake. At its core, humanistic psychology views humans as inherently good and capable of achieving their full potential through self-awareness and personal development. Abraham Maslow, along with Carl Rogers, became a leading figure in this movement. Maslow's hierarchy of needs provided a structured framework for understanding human motivation, while his concept of self-actualization captured the essence of humanistic psychology's focus on personal growth. But what exactly is self-actualization, and how does it fit into Maslow's broader theory? Self-actualization, according to Maslow, is the process of realizing and fulfilling one's potential and capabilities. It represents the highest level of psychological development, where individuals achieve personal growth, self-discovery, and a sense of meaning in life. Unlike the lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy, which are driven by deficiencies or unmet needs, self-actualization is motivated by a desire for personal excellence and intrinsic satisfaction. To illustrate self-actualization, Maslow identified several characteristics of self-actualizing individuals. These traits provide valuable insights into what it means to reach this level of psychological development. He's over 9,000. Let's explore some of these key characteristics. Firstly, self-actualizing individuals exhibit a strong sense of autonomy and independence. They are capable of making decisions based on their values and beliefs rather than conforming to societal pressures. This autonomy allows them to pursue their passions and interests even if they deviate from conventional norms. For example, an artist might choose to create unconventional art that challenges traditional boundaries, driven by an inner desire for creative expression rather than commercial success. Second, self-actualizing individuals have a realistic and accurate perception of reality. They are able to see things as they are without being clouded by biases or preconceived notions. This clarity of perception helps them navigate life's challenges with a balanced and pragmatic approach. For instance, a self-actualizing person might face a difficult situation, such as a career setback, with resilience and a focus on finding constructive solutions rather than dwelling on negative emotions. Thirdly, self-actualizing individuals possess a high level of creativity and innovation. They are open to new experiences and capable of thinking outside the box. This creativity is not limited to artistic endeavors, but extends to problem solving and everyday activities. A self-actualizing individual might come up with innovative solutions in their professional work, continuously seeking to improve processes and outcomes. So I guess we could say like the ultimate self-actualizing individual would be someone like MacGyver, just constructing things out of nothing. I've built an anti-tank missile from a shoebox and a stick of butter. That's how we self-actualize. He is our role model. MacGyver is our role model. He's going to have to be the thumbnail for the episode now. MacGyver. Is there a new series of MacGyver? I need to get back onto that. Right, I'm digressing into MacGyver territory. Back to Maslow. Another important characteristic is the presence of peak experiences. Maslow described peak experiences as moments of intense joy, creativity, and fulfillment that stand out as highlights in one's life. These experiences often involve a sense of connection with something greater than oneself, whether it's a moment of artistic inspiration, a profound realization, or a deep connection with another person. Peak experiences contribute to an individual's sense of meaning and purpose, reinforcing their journey towards self-actualization. Self-actualizing individuals also tend to have a strong moral and ethical value system. They are driven by a sense of purpose and a commitment to contribute positively to society. This ethical orientation is often reflected in their actions and decisions as they strive to make a meaningful impact on the world around them. For example, a self-actualizing person might engage in volunteer work, social activism, or other forms of community service to address social issues and promote positive change. So understanding these characteristics of self-actualization can help us to strive towards personal growth. But how do we apply these principles in our daily lives? There is the question. So one practical approach is to engage in activities that promote self-awareness and personal development. This might include practices such as mindfulness meditation, journaling, or seeking feedback from trusted friends and mentors. By cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves, we can identify our values, strengths, and areas for growth, setting the stage for personal development. Another approach is to pursue activities that align with our passions and interests. Whether it's a hobby, a creative pursuit, or a professional goal, engaging in activities that bring us joy and satisfaction can contribute to our sense of fulfillment. This might involve setting aside time for creative expression, seeking opportunities for continuous learning, or taking on challenges that push us out of our comfort zone. There is nothing better to grow yourself than to get the fuck out of your comfort zone. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Building meaningful relationships is also crucial for self-actualization. Surrounding ourselves with supportive and like-minded individuals can provide a sense of belonging and encouragement. This might involve joining groups or communities that share our interests, fostering connection with friends and family, or seeking out mentors who can guide us on our journey. It is no good going on this journey of self-development, trying to get to a space of dipping into self-actualization if you are surrounded by toxic, unpleasant, dramatic people. I think one of the best things that I did in my life, one of the most useful things, was I call it trimming the tree. And it's this idea of taking away all of the connection and links with people that do nothing but bring us downwards, that pull us down. I think it's important to address relationships. And it's left me with a very small group of people that I trust, and I'm good with that. And that works for me. I don't need a great big massive friend group where 50% of them are toxic pieces of shit. It's just not worth it. You're never going to self-actualize. You're never going to get to that space if you are surrounded by people like that, because you're on a different frequency, and I'm not saying that in a kind of hippie construct sense. I'm a different frequency, man. I'm vibrating in different vibes. Maybe in a way, but it's more, you need to be around people that are on the same road as you. Otherwise, you're just going to get distracted and pulled in different directions. And this whole process is about you. It's about your development. It's about your growth as a human being. It's about your human experience, not anybody else's. This is your human experience. Experience that as you choose. So to summarize, then, I've written some notes on a growth mindset. I'm sure you know what growth mindset is, don't you? I'm not going to go into that too much. By adopting a growth mindset, we can approach life's difficulties with resilience and positive attitude. PMA, man. Yeah, okay. So I don't need to tell you that. Do you know what growth mindset is? So to summarize my languid, it wasn't too languid, was it? Self-actualization is a dynamic and ongoing process of personal growth and fulfillment. It involves realizing our potential, pursuing our passions, and striving to make a meaningful impact on the world. By understanding the characteristics of self-actualizing individuals and applying these principles to our lives, we can go on a journey towards greater self-awareness, creativity, and purpose. That's enough psychology. That's enough psychology. Let's have a look at some of the influences that Maslow's ideas have had on other fields. Other fields. There are plenty of other fields other than psychology. I'm going to start with education. So in education, Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been used to develop teaching strategies that address students' holistic needs. Educators understand that for students to reach their full academic potential, their basic needs must first be met. This means providing a safe and supportive learning environment, ensuring students have access to nutritious meals, and fostering a sense of, although I don't think, if I go back to when I was at school, I wouldn't call the meals nutritious. It was a slice of cold pizza, which was basically bread and cheese for £1, or some sausage rolls. How many sausage rolls could you fit in your mouth at once? That was our game at lunchtime. Or you'd buy the baked beans so you could throw them at people. But I digress. Nutritious meals. I'm sure it's different now. Jamie Oliver's done his thing. Maybe not. I don't know. Where was I? I've lost my place. I've lost my place on the script. Okay, here we go. So this means providing a safe and supportive learning environment. We've done that bit. Nutritious meals. That triggered me off onto a tangent. And creating a sense of belonging within the classroom. By addressing these foundational needs, educators can create conditions that allow students to focus on higher level cognitive tasks and achieve self-actualization through learning. Yeah, I'm sure it's different now. I was in school 20-something years ago, so I'm sure it's much better now than it used to be. But don't we all say that? Don't we all say that? Each generation says that, I'm sure. Now we can look. So there's also organizational behavior and management. And if you're in any kind of worky field like that, I'm sure you would have come across this. You've probably seen Maslow's triangle at some point, used in some leadership meeting about how to help employees. So this hierarchy is a cornerstone in the development of motivational strategies in the workplace. Employers and managers recognize that for employees to perform at their best, again, their basic needs must be met. It's kind of common sense. I could pick a lot of scenarios where we just go common sense. There's nowhere for poor Johnny to take a shit. Henceforth, he's not going to be good at this spreadsheet. But obviously, there's more to it than that. So I'm going to get into this. So we're looking at ensuring fair wages. We're looking at safe working conditions. We're looking at job security. Those are three things that we need to consider first. And then beyond the basics, we look at creating a positive workplace culture, providing opportunities for social interaction, recognizing employees' achievements so that we can get into that whole self-esteem side of things. And companies that implement these principles will very often see increased job satisfaction, higher productivity, and lower turnover rates. And again, it's common sense. If you create a shitty, toxic place to work, no one's going to want to stay there. So it is common sense. And it's nice that someone's drawn us a triangle showing us this common sense thing, really. You'll see it in marketing as well. So using Maslow's theory to understand consumer behavior and to create products and services that meet different levels of needs. So you might have a marketing strategy for luxury items that will appeal to esteem needs. So you're emphasizing status and recognition. Whereas if you're advertising for basic or simpler goods, I'm not going to say basic, simpler goods will focus on fulfilling physiological needs. So if you take like a bottle of Chanel number 5 versus a can of Tesco's value beans, there is a different marketing strategy for those two products, and they are aiming at different tiers on the hierarchy. So Chanel number 5, I want to smell beautiful. And obviously Tesco baked beans, I have no money and I'm fucking hungry. Like there's two, but you'll see the marketing changes. Go out and observe marketing and adverts and look at how advertising in products will pull on those different tiers in a hierarchy. It's quite, when you know, you can see it. It's interesting. It's interesting to catch that stuff. And it's the same in design. So you look at things like user experience design, which is, if you don't work in software and feel fortunate that you don't, if you don't work in software, we have this thing called UX design, which is basically like how a product looks and behaves for a user. So like user experience, how does a user experience the software basically? Apple are very good at UX design. So the hierarchy will inform the creation of products and interfaces to meet the human need, the user need at different levels. So designers will aim to create intuitive and accessible products that will address the user's basic functional requirements, but also provide like an engaging experience so that they can kind of get into the product. They feel like this is nice to use and they want to stay within that sort of ecosystem of the software, essentially. So that's all. So that's using Maslow's hierarchy to create products and applications that are functional and easy to use and that people actually get something out of. I'm sure you've found it, like you've come across a website or an app or something on your phone and you've installed it and you've just been like, oh my God, this is fucking hideous to use. I can't stand it. What is this? And vice versa, you'll come across stuff that's really intuitive and it'll actually be like a pleasure to use the software. So that's how we use Maslow's ideas in design. What else have we got? That's probably enough. Those are enough examples. And my cat's going wild. Cat's going wild outside. I don't know if she's getting picked up on the mic. I have to shut the door because she comes in here and she sings. She sings relentlessly whilst I'm recording. So now she's outside singing relentlessly. I might let her in, actually. I'll let her in. She can sing in here. Sing in here, cat. Sing in here. What are you doing? Oh, you don't even want to come in. What a surprise. What do they say? Cat's always on the wrong side of a shut door. Right, where was I? What was I saying? Personal development. We talked about personal development. So I have a big script with notes and everything on it, and some of it I kind of just stream it out, and sometimes I repeat stuff, and I think when I'm in the flow and it doesn't necessarily seem so relevant. Here we go. Look, see, the singing begins. We can look at Maslow's ideas in self-development, so workshops and coaching programs, which will draw on the principles of the hierarchy of needs and self-actualization to help individuals identify their goals, overcome obstacles, and achieve personal fulfillment. So by understanding and applying these principles, it helps people to work towards realizing their potential and leading more meaningful lives. So, Abraham Maslow. Maslow's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of his vision of human potential. And I hope you can start to see that as well. I hope you're not in that horribly cynical place of thinking that humans are like nothing but moss and just inherently useless. I have an optimistic view of human potential. His work reminds us that understanding human motivation is not just about addressing deficiencies, but about creating growth, creativity, and self-fulfillment. So there we are. Look, his theories impacting education, business, therapy, design, all sorts of things, coaching, self-development. It's everywhere. Its tendrils are in all the things because it is common sense. A lot of it is common sense. So yeah, when you get your head into a lot of this stuff and you start to see it not as just, a fixed triangle with fixed tiers, but as this dynamic thing that you shift within, and you can use it as a bit of a signpost for where you are and what you need and what's motivating you, which in turn helps you to work on your self-awareness, essentially. So there's that. Okay, last section before I finish. I can hear you screaming "thank fuck" from a distance. Okay, right. So we've explored Maslow's life. We've looked at his hierarchy of needs. We've looked at his contributions to psychology, and we've looked at the widespread influence of his theories. Now, I would like to take a more personal approach and share with you some of my reflections on how Maslow's ideas have impacted me and how they can be applied in our everyday lives. So as a person who hosts a podcast like this, clearly I have a deep interest in psychology and human behavior. And in that sense alone, Maslow's hierarchy has always resonated with me. It offers a structured yet flexible framework that makes understanding human motivation more accessible. When I first encountered Maslow's work, which was back when I was training as a therapist about 14, 15 years ago, Jesus Christ, that was a while back. I was really sort of taken by the simplicity of it. And it was a combination of its extremely simple diagram, just a triangle with a few labels. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot beneath the surface. And there's a wonderful common senseness about it. This idea that our needs are layered and that we have to address foundational needs before we move on to higher ones. It intuitively made sense, but it's not something I'd necessarily thought about before. I was very much going at everything all at once, like handle all the things, blunderbuss approach to just dealing with shit. But having a look at, or changing that perspective around, okay, so let's deal with some of the more foundational stuff before I start thinking about doing creative shit. Let's get this other crap out of the way first and then move on, rather than just doing all at once. Whilst, trying to be creative whilst just weeping because I have no money to afford my rent. Again, that's the artiste. I'm subsuming dust. And I think coming out of looking at Maslow's hierarchy was the emphasis on self-actualization and this concept of realizing our full potential, of striving to become the best version of ourselves. I aligned very closely with my own values, having sort of grown up reading a lot of stuff around Stoicism and Nietzsche, and this whole idea around continuous self-improvement, of being a work of art never finished. All of those ideas, they were very succinctly summed up in Maslow's hierarchy, and that resonated a lot with me. And I think it's been very useful in allowing me to, kind of as a totem, to remind me to accept the dynamism of the human experience in that sense. I feel like I'm getting really philosophical now. I've lost you again. That's more subscribers. My subscriber list is tumbling away. It's vanishing away like dust and air. So obviously, looking back, we can all say that there have been times, especially as one gets older, and you have more life behind you, experience racks up, and you go through things where you can look back and see how shoddily you handled it, because you were not equipped. You were not experientially equipped to handle being a human being at that point. So I'll give you an example. So there was back when I was younger, and I just got the apartment, the flat apartment, whatever it's called, wherever you're from, name it accordingly. And I had like no money. And I had a job working for an insurance firm. I lasted a year in that place. I was deeply miserable, and I didn't have any money, and had to go to the Tesco's and get the yellow sticker food at like 9 p.m. I'm sure if you don't know what Tesco's is, a supermarket in the UK, and the yellow sticker is the food that's going to go out of date tomorrow. So they slap it all in the corner. And it's like super cheap. So yeah, like that's like looking at the needs being met. There's obviously physiological and safety needs kicking in, and it's interesting to see that that took up a lot of my time. That was a big thing. I didn't have the luxury of going, I wonder what I'll talk about in my podcast this week. It's a luxury to be able to do stuff like this now that like 20 years on. Or 15 years on, whatever it is, to be able to sit here and do this. And it's there's a lot of gratitude in that. And I think having Maslow's, using the hierarchy to identify aspects of my life where those needs were not met, and to see to understand my motivations, to improve the self-awareness in that sense, it can be really useful. I don't know where I will be now. I feel like I'm floating around, not giving a fuck, which is nice. So I don't know whether you call that self-actualizing or not. Maybe I'm just less patient and more grumpy with things. But yeah, it's interesting space to compare where I am now compared to 15 years ago, and to see the different motivations and the hierarchy. So like I'll talk like this podcast, for example. There is no reason for me to do this other than shits and giggles. I make nothing from it, and I don't intend to. I'm not interested in making money off this. I don't, as you probably heard, I don't have a sponsor other than my book. Go buy my book. And I'm if the channel got to a point where it would be monetized, I would disable monetization so you guys don't have to sit through adverts, because I fucking hate adverts. Adverts are awful. If I swear enough, I should get demonetized anyway, so that'll be fine, and you won't have to sit through it. But I just want to. I switch it all off. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any of that stuff. So this is where this is coming from. This is not a, and I love all of you for following the channel, for following the YouTube, the Substack, whatever you're listening to this on, Spotify, whatever platform. I deeply appreciate all of you for following along on this journey. And it's just human to human, right? There's me talking into a microphone into the ether. I'm talking at the internet. It's a weird experience, but yeah, I hope that you get something from this. That's where I am on that hierarchy. I'm doing this because it's an ethical thing. It's a value thing in a way. What can I do? What can I do outside of my job, which is making software applications for people that doesn't really mean anything on a human level? How can I take, what can I put out into the universe that's actually useful to people? That's satisfying that need in that sense. That's my motivation. And it's interesting to look at the hierarchy and go through it and see what's driving what and question what's driving what. So yeah, that's where I am. Those are some of my thoughts on Maslow's hierarchy, if that made any sense to anybody. But it's just me. I'm just sitting on my own with my cat talking into a microphone. So maybe it's, if it's of use, that's good. That's where we are. So, I don't know, I've written some more stuff, but it feels like flannel. It feels like waffleness. I'm not really going to go through it too much. I think I've said more in that little off-the-cuff abstract thing than I wrote down, really. Something of more worth, anyway. So that's it. Self-actualization, powerful framework, human motivation. What makes you do the things that you do? Why do you do them? And the self-awareness that comes with understanding where we sit on that hierarchy and what's driving us. Yeah, that's it. Just reminding us that it's a constant journey, isn't it? It's the road of human experience. There is no end. We are just wandering around, none of us quite knowing what we're doing, although some of us are better at pretending than others, I think. Just taking it as it comes, I guess. That's it. That's this episode. That's it. I'm going to end really flat. Nothing like grand. No grand statement at the end. Just me prattling about self-actualization. There we are. That's it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have to say on the subject of Abraham Maslow and the theory of human motivation. In a world that often feels very demanding, Maslow's theories can offer us a reminder to slow down and consider the broader picture of our lives. They encourage us to build strong foundations by taking care of our basic needs and creating environments of safety and security. From there, we can nurture our relationships, seek recognition for our achievements, and ultimately pursue the highest levels of personal fulfillment. Ultimately, the enduring appeal of Maslow's work lies in its optimistic view of human potential. It reminds us that at our core, we are driven not just by our needs for survival, but by our aspirations for growth, creativity, and connection. By understanding and applying Maslow's theories, we can create more fulfilling lives for ourselves and more compassionate, supportive environments for those around us. I want to thank all of you for joining me on this deep dive into the life and theories of Abraham Maslow. It has been a long one, and I hope that there are some aspects that you can take away and apply to your own lives. As always, if anything in this episode has resonated with you in any way, then I'd love to hear from you. You can share your stories via Substack at theobservingeye.com or on social media. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@theobservingeye and on TikTok and Instagram with the handle @theobservingeye as well. Take care, everybody. Much love. and I'll catch you soon.
You've been listening to The Observing Eye. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope it's been useful. And if you're interested in any more of my writing or work around psychology, philosophy, and general day-to-day living, please go and take a look at my Substack, which is theobservingeye.com. And that's I as in the letter, not I as in the gelatinous organ through which you see. Take care, everybody. Much love, and I'll catch you soon.